The Palestinians who traveled to South Africa as asylum seekers, they finally disembarked after spending nearly 12 hours on the tarmac at OR Tambo International Airport in Kempton Park. Now, the Border Management Authority initially refused them entry into South Africa because they could not indicate the duration of their stay or the address of the accommodation in South Africa. Now, the travellers also did not have the customary departure stamps in their passports. However, Gift of the Givers, who facilitated the humanitarian effort, gave its commitment to accommodate the travellers. Now, following this verification, they were allowed to enter the country. Now, the Embassy of the State of Palestine in South Africa confirms that it has been working since the very first moment in direct and close coordination and collaboration with the South African relevant authorities. That was to resolve the humanitarian situation involving the arrival of 165 Palestinian citizens coming from Gaza via Ramon Airport through Nairobi without any prior note or coordination. So perhaps on this, let's get more from the founder of Gift of the Givers, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman. A very good morning to you, Dr. Imtiaz, and thank you for your time at this hour. Perhaps in lieu of what's transpired, the information at your disposal, perhaps you could divulge some more information. Who facilitated the process to ultimately bring the Palestinian refugees to South Africa?
Good morning, Liesl, and good morning to your viewers. This unfortunately sounds like something very sinister. This is not the first flight. This is the second flight. We only knew about the second flight after we heard from the relatives of the first flight. This seems to be a coordinated effort from Israel to carry out a process of ethnic cleansing. People pay a high price through front organizations of Israel and are then taken out of Gaza, moved to Kerem Shalom and to the Ramon military base and flown from there to different countries. A lot of them in the first plane didn't even know where they were going to. They paid a huge amount of money. Their clothes, medical supplies, hygiene was all taken away from them by Israel at the border. And then, of course, there was no exit stamp. So when they get to a foreign country, they are further embarrassed and further put into difficulty, like what happened in South Africa. But as an aside, that's not an excuse, because this should have been a humanitarian issue, and the Border Management Authority should know better. You know, yes, in the beginning, they had no exit stamp, but you don't keep men, women, and children, child who's having seizures, a pregnant woman, kids dehydrated in a plane for 13 hours. That's totally inhumane behavior from the Border Management Authority and from the Home Affairs. In any case, so they were moved to Kenya, the first lot, came to South Africa. I'm still puzzled as to how they entered the country if they had no exit stamp, the first plane, because Nigel Branken, who was on your program yesterday, found them in South Africa, no phone numbers, no connection, no family members. I'm not exactly sure how he found them and put them together. They had one night's accommodation, and that's how he gathered them together. Then the flight in question last night, these family members told us the plane is coming. And we were not sure, and we asked, are they landing in South Africa? They said they don't know where they're going to be landing because, you know, it's the same story like how they were. So eventually they did. They landed, and when they landed, we checked with them on the airport, and I've got hold of Durko to say, look, they've come, will they have any problem coming in? So the DG was in Canada, and he said, no, you know, they've spoken to Home Affairs, they've spoken to Border Management Authority. If there's no exit stamps, it will be waived. You know, it all requires a waiver from the minister. And, you know, we were given assurances from the morning right till the evening, and nothing really happened until a lot of pressure was put. Sorry, you've got a cross line here.
Dr. Imtiaz, we can still hear you. Perhaps in lieu of what you were just saying, we're obviously trying to understand the conditions that had to be met, the latest emerging this morning, even just the responsibility of Gift of the Givers at this point in relation to what's transpiring. Perhaps you can divulge a little bit more on that front as well for us, please.
When the news reached, South Africa, this was the trouble. This was the condition or the case of the people. Fortunately, many organizations, the public, individuals, people all came forward to assist. And it was phenomenal. Of course, they needed an assurance from us. I signed a letter to say that to Border Management Authority, to say that I will take total responsibility for the refugees that come to South Africa and that we will take care of them. Of course, there were people at the airport who went to wait there. Nigel Franklin, Naeem Jinnah, Zahira Bam Ismail, and others joined thereafter to be there to take care of the refugees and wait for them. We expected them to come out in a short while, like within an hour or so. And then we were told, no, there's a problem with taking them out, and they were sent it to another country. but no exit visa, exit stamp, and it just dragged and dragged and dragged. And eventually, the people they were hungry, and we made arrangements for food to support them. The food was not delivered for over 2 hours, in spite of us getting there on time. The food was not delivered to them. And eventually, some pressure arose, and they were given the food. Then they were taken off the plane. And everybody thought they're coming into the building. And after a while, they were told to go back into the plane. And it was, it's psychologically and emotionally totally destroying. You come from a genocidal area where you've been bombed consistently for 2 years. You pay a huge amount of money to the same people who bombed you to take you out. You put on a plane, you don't know where you're going to.
Yeah.
And you've taken all your supplies are taken away from you. You come to a foreign country, you get off and they tell you cannot get off because you don't have an exit stamp and you don't even know where you're going to. And then even worse, they tell them if you want to apply for asylum, you've got to go back to Kenya and apply for asylum in Kenya. I mean, which kind of border management authority in the humanitarian crisis does this? There seems to be a political undertone taking place here. Because even Durga was battling to get assurances from Home Affairs. How illogical is this? In any case, then eventually they were taken off. Protesters came to the airport. They were put up in accommodation last night. But we had lots of offers for putting them in homes, giving them clothes, hygiene, medical support. We have medical teams. Other organizations have brought medical teams. We will go to them thoroughly. But we want this thing investigated as to why people were put for 13 hours on the tarmac in a country that fully supports Palestine.
All right, so thank you for speaking to that, Dr. Imtiaz. We'll see how those dynamics unfold. Just as we wrap up very quickly, you spoke about how they're doing, how they're faring following the ordeal. Can you give us an update on how they're doing, perhaps also the length of stay? Any other information at your disposal at this point?
All I can say, in spite of that it's a harrowing ordeal for 13 countries, 13 hours in a country that's supposed to be humane, that's supposed to show love to Palestinians or any other human being for that matter, and that's our Ubuntu spirit. They came out, and some of them initially wanted to go to another country, but amazingly, when they came out and they saw the South African support, they said, we love this country, we love these people, we all want to stay here now. They didn't hold it against anyone that they were kept in a plane for 13 hours with were dehydrated, no aircon, only one door open. And that airline has got a lot to answer for, and they need to be investigated too. But to answer your question, they're in good spirits, psychologically and emotionally, at ease. Of course, there's a trauma of the war and the loss of family. That's a different issue. But on this specific event, they're now at ease. They're happy. They've got overwhelming support. How long they want to stay, that's their choice. You can have a temporary visa, a 30-day visitor visa, or you can ask for asylum. That's totally the individual case, each one on its own merits. They will say what they want to do. Maybe they want family in other parts of the world. They want to go and reconnect with them. I don't know. All that will unfold in the next few days.
Okay. Well, Dr. Imtiaz, thank you so much for joining us at this hour and for bringing us the latest there. We'll continue to, monitor the developments, perhaps see what questions remain unanswered.